This is Tom Fox. I'd like to welcome you to the newest addition to the Compliance Podcast Network, the Compliance Tip of the Day. This is the podcast where we bring you daily insights and practical advice on navigating the ever-evolving landscape of compliance requirements. Whether you're a seasoned compliance professional or just starting your journey, my aim in this podcast is to provide you with a bite-sized, actionable tip to help you stay on top of your compliance game. Join us as we explore the latest trends from the Department of Justice, share some best practices, demystify complex compliance issues to help keep your organization doing business ethically and in compliance, and at the end of the day, more profitably. Tune in daily for your dose of compliance wisdom. Let's make compliance a little less daunting, one tip at a time. Now a word from the sponsor of the Compliance Podcast Network, Ethico.
In compliance, the value of anonymous reporting is undeniable. But with Ethico, anonymity doesn't mean a loss of connection. Our blinded, two-way communication fosters an environment of trust and confidentiality, encouraging open and honest dialogue. It's not just about receiving reports. It's about understanding the story behind each one, creating a culture of integrity and respect. Transform your approach to anonymous reporting with Ethico. Begin your journey at ethico.com/CPN, where you can book a demo, access an exclusive white paper by Tom Fox titled The ROI of Compliance, and utilize our free ROI calculator.
On today's compliance tip of the day, we consider a gap analysis for HR. At every touch point in the life cycle of the employment relationship, there's an HR touch point. Fulfilling those touch points can be controls for compliance. If you think of multiple HR functions as compliance internal controls, one of the questions becomes, how can you determine if HR is meeting the standards of a best practices compliance program? One place to start is a gap analysis to determine what HR has in place that can facilitate your company's compliance programs. From an HR and compliance perspective, there are 4 steps to undertaking a gap analysis. Number 1, understanding the compliance and HR environment in your organization. Number 2, taking a holistic approach to understanding compliance in HR. Number 3, determining a framework for analysis. And number 4, compiling supportive data to test your program on a go-forward basis. Yet, beginning this exercise, is incumbent to understand the first element of an effective compliance program is to have established policies and procedures to protect against and detect non-compliance with rules and regulations. While the U.S. sentencing guideline specifically targets criminal conduct, companies would be wise not to limit their risk or assessment or gap analysis to simply criminal conduct. You should work with HR to create a consolidated HR compliance audit checklist that can be used to audit and document the company's HR compliance program. The key to compliance is having the proper structure to identify the issues as you move forward. The types of questions you use are, of course, only limited by your imagination. But some include, does HR have an inventory of policies and procedures? Does it have a person in charge of updating this inventory? What system does HR utilize to ensure compliance with these? What evidence does HR have to support a finding that there is a solid compliance program in place going forward? What types of enforcement actions have been seen against the company? Have there been any disciplinary actions? If so, is the discipline that is meted out for company violations of policies and procedures consistent across the organization? So these are just some of the questions you can use in a compliance gap analysis for HR. This month's sponsor of the Compliance Podcast Network, including this podcast, is Ethico. Have you ever wondered about the ROI of your compliance program or had concerns with presenting budget proposals to your CFO? Well, I partnered with Ethico to write a white paper on the ROI of compliance and how you can think through compliance as an investment strategy. Ethico has put together a ROI calculator for you. Check them out on the website. This is Tom Fox again. This new podcast, Compliance Tip of the Day, will appear daily. And frankly, it's one of the most requested topics for a podcast that I get on a regular basis. It's going to be short and sweet with one tip with some takeaways that you can utilize to implement into your compliance program. If you've got a question that you would like a tip on, please submit them through our website, and we will use them in an upcoming episode. The compliance tip of the day is a production of the award-winning Compliance Podcast Network.